Let's start with this third problem, which was there in the contest. So let's go through the problem once quickly, and let's think about the brute force first, as we always do, and then we can try to optimize it step by step, right? So it says that, let's say you are the owner of a company, right, that allows you to create alloys. Okay. So there is a basically story behind it. But essentially, if I look at the input, it simply says that, let's say we have three different type of metals with us, right? So three different types of metals and two different machines. Okay. So three metals, two different machines. Now each machine can make one kind of alloy, right? And for that, we know the composition of the metal. So if I look at this composition array, then we can see that there is machine one, which uses 1 1 1 of all the three metals, right? Then there is this machine 2, which uses 1 1 of first two metals and 10 quantity of the third metal, and then make 1 unit of an alloy. Does these three things make sense? What is N, K, and composition? So we have K different machines. Each machine makes one kind of alloy. Now that one kind of alloy has its own composition, that how many units of each of the metals would be there in this alloy. So for example, if I talk about the first machine, then it takes 1 1 1 of each of the metals. Second machine takes 1 1 of first two and 10 of the third. Does these three input make sense? Yes or no? What is N, what is K, and what is composition? Okay. Can I get a yes from everyone, or repeat or no if this doesn't make sense? Okay. Great. So what we want to do, we want to make a lot of alloys of one particular type, right? So it clearly says that we have to make alloys that we create from a single machine. So we are not allowed to use, we are not allowed to create some alloys of the first type, some alloys of the second type. Only of a single type, we want to create a lot of alloys. Does that make sense? This portion? Yes or no? Can I get a quick yes? Okay. So tell me one thing. If I want to make two alloys of by the help of second machine, how much metal would I need for each of them? How much metal of each type would I need? If I want to make 2 units of alloys using machine number 2 that wants this composition. Yeah, 2, 2, and 20. Everyone is able to calculate that? 2, 2, and 20. No? Anyone who is not? Can I get a no? Okay, I'll explain it again, right? So I said we want to make 2 units of alloy. Does that make sense? And I want to use machine number 2. Okay. Now, machine number 2 says that for 1 unit of alloy, you would need 1 of first metal, 1 of second metal, 10 of third metal, right? So for 2 units of alloy, I would need 1 into 2, that is 2 for the first, 2 for the second, and 20 for the third metal. Does this make sense? How we get 2, 2, and 20? So I fixed that we want to use the second machine, right? Okay. Similarly, if I ask you if we want to create 3 units of first alloy type, then how much would we need of different metals? Using the first machine. Yeah, not the second machine. Using the first machine. So 3, 3, 3. Okay. This much is clear? Okay. So apart from that, it is given that we have a stock of already existing metals. So like here it is 0, 0, 0. But in this case, for example, we can see that first two metals have 0 stock with us. Like we have 0 stock of it already, and 100 of the third type. So for each of the metals, we know how many stock we already have. Okay. Extra stock we would need to buy. And for each of the metal, we know the cost. That okay, if I want to buy 1 unit of first metal, I would need to pay 1 rupee. If I want to buy 1 unit of second metal, I would need to pay 2 rupees, right? So there is some existing metals with us. Extra you need to buy. You need to buy it within this budget. Are all the constraints clear? So K types of machines, each machine make one kind of alloy. We know the composition of that alloy for making 1 unit, right? If you want to make K units, you would need K times for that particular composition, right? Second thing, we already have some metals that is given in stock. Extra we would need to buy using certain cost, and whatever we buy, the cost should not exceed this budget. Okay. Now what do you want to do? You want to make the maximum number of alloys, but it is given that we want to use only, we want to create only one kind of alloy. That is, we cannot say that, okay, we'll create 3 units of using first machine, 5 units from second machine. Does that make sense? That whatever we are making, all of it needs to come from one machine. So जितने भी alloys बना रहे हैं, सब एक ही type के बनेंगे. Does this make sense? Let's look at some cases and see how we got the answer. So let's say this is the constraint that we have. Let's first try to make alloys of first type. Okay, first type alloy. We have nothing in stock. Everything we would need to buy. Total budget is 15 rupees. Okay, can you tell me, to make 1 unit of this alloy, how much money we would need? 6. Why? Because we need to buy 1 of this, and costs are 3 plus 2 plus 1, that is 6. So 1 unit 6. Total budget is 15. How many maximum units can we make? 2, right? Because as soon as we make 2 of them, we spend 12 rupees. We want to make 3, we will have to spend 18 rupees, which we don't have, right? So if we choose this machine, I wouldn't be able to make 2 alloys only. What about this machine? How many alloys would we be able to make? 0, right? Why? Because just to make one alloy also, we would need 1 plus 2, 3 plus 30. That is 33 rupees, which we don't have. Does this make sense? So that is why the answer is 2. The maximum alloys we can make is using the first machine, and that amount is 2. Is the first case clear? How we are getting the answer? Everyone? Let's also solve one more case. Then probably we can think about solutioning, right? How we can solve it in a general case. So let's look at this case. The change here. What is the change here? The change here is that we already have 100 of the last stock. Okay. So let's see how this comes for our benefit. Let's talk about the first case. To make one alloy, now how much money we need to spend? Not 6. Why? Because third alloy, we already have a lot of it. Yes or no? We can use it from our stock, right? We would only need to buy first 2 alloys, which will take 3 rupees. So if I'm just using 3 rupees to make one, how many can we make by using this particular machine? 5, because we have 15 rupees. So 5, right? Let's talk about this case. 1 Okay. Again, we can make 5. Thing remains same, because even for 10 into 5, it is just 50. And we have 100 of them, right? So both the cases answer is same. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Okay. Tell me one thing. If this was 2, like if first type was 2, what would we have preferred? Would we have preferred this second machine or the first machine? If here 2 units would have been taken instead of 1 for the first type, would we prefer the second machine or would we prefer the first machine? Second machine. Why? Because third stock is in plenty with us, right? So this 10 doesn't make a difference. But here making it 2 will increase the cost to 4 per alloy, right? And we'll be able to make less amount. Does this make sense? That if first unit was 2 here, then why would it will be better to choose this? Can I get a yes? This makes sense? Or no? Or repeat? This doesn't make sense. What was the updated budget? Not budget, but budget is same. I've just changed this to 2. Like for first machine, the composition is 211, right? 211. So actually in 211, what happens? Because this is 2, now we would need to spend, and we have 0 of it already. We would need to spend 2 into 1, that is 2, plus 2, that is 4. 4 for each single alloy. Does that make sense? So we'll be able to make just 4 of it. 4 into 4, 16. Just 3 of it actually, not even 4. Does that make sense? कि हाँ अगर 2 हो जाएगा तो this would not be preferred. This would be preferred. Why? Because for making each of them, we would need just 3 rupees now in this, but 4 rupees in this, right? Okay. Cool. Great. So you have the question. Just think once how we can think about solving this. Meanwhile, I'll open. Start with the brute force. Directly don't give the probably solutions, but probably the brute force first. So सबसे पहले when you are doing problem solving, एक चीज जो दिमाग में clearly रख लेते हैं. The fun thing that always makes sense is that do we see कि one of the parameter is additionally added, which 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 can be separated. मतलब जैसे example यहाँ पे ये different machines देने का कोई ज्यादा sense नहीं है. Like एक machine के लिए जो आंसर आएगा, like for one machine whatever answer I get, for second machine whatever answer I get, for third machine whatever I get, I just need to take max. Like one machine's answer won't be impacted by the other machine. Does this make sense? That whatever is the maximum alloys we can make with one machine, right? That does not impact whatever we are making with the other machine, right? There is no connection between them. They are just two separate things altogether. Yes or no, everyone? है ना? एक मशीन जो आउटपुट दे रही है, whatever one machine is giving the output, that depends upon its composition, stock, cost, and budget. That's it. But it doesn't depend upon what other machines are there in the system, right? So whenever this kind of thing happens, one clear distinction you can make is that I would need to solve individually for all the machines and then take the maximum. ये समझ में आ रहा है क्या? तो इससे क्या होता है? The problem reduces a step in complexity, है ना? अभी it looks like very complicated problem. Now, as soon as you segregate the machine idea that okay, पहले एक machine के लिए solve करते हैं, then we will just need to iterate on all the machines, solve for each of them, take max, right? So if you reduce it like this, that first let's solve for one machine, then next, then next, then next. So automatically what happens? The complexity of the problem reduces a bit. Does this idea make sense? है ना? That okay, we can try and see how many alloys we can make with each machine, right? Each machine, and then take the max, right? So if I have to write it like this, so let's say this is our function. So function का मैं signature उठा लेता हूँ just. Don't worry about the entire code that is written right now. Okay. So this is the function that we need to complete. I'll probably expand it. Can we expand it? Okay. No worries. I'll make it like this. Right. So if you look at the function that we want to complete in Leetcode, it says that you are given n. What was n? Number of metals, number of machines, budget, composition for each machine, each stock that we have, and each cost that we have, right? So we need to go over each of the machines one by one. How many machines are there? K. So for int I equal to, let's start with the 0th machine. We have K machines, I plus plus. And then we can call a function probably solve for each machine for this particular machine. So let's create a function, solve each machine. ठीक है, अब we need to think about कि for each machine what do we need? For each machine what do we need? We need to know what is the composition of alloy that that machine is creating, right? उसका composition क्या है, कितना stock already है, what is the extra cost, and what is the budget? These four things, yes or no? So as an example, if one of my machine uses 1 unit of first, 1 unit of second, and 3 units of third, I'm worried about this. I'm not worried about the other machines, right? Then let's say I already have 10 units of this, 2 units of this, 1 units of this. Then let's say cost is given 3, 2, 1, and let's say budget is given 12. So I would need these four things to figure out how many alloys of this type I can make. Yes or no? Everyone agrees? So basically I need three vectors. What are those three vectors? My composition for my current machine, stock, cost for buying extra, and my budget. Does this make sense? ये चार parameters क्या हैं? To solve for any single machine, I need the composition of metals for that machine, which is this single composition, stock of that particular machine, cost, and budget. And I can pass it directly here. So composition of I, stock, cost, and budget. ठीक है, तो इससे क्या हुआ? What happens with this? Now the complexity has significantly reduced because you don't have that vector in place. You don't have to worry about all of the lot of things, right? Now we just know for each metal, एक के लिए कितना है? For one alloy, how many do we have? कितने पहले से हैं? How many stock do we have? What is the cost of buying new? And how much is the total budget? Does this make sense? कि थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम एक स्टेप रिड्यूस हो गई है in terms of complexity. Okay, everyone agrees? Can we move on? Okay, let's think about this now. How we can solve for one particular machine, that how to calculate how many alloys we can make. Okay, tell me one thing. With this particular composition, let me ask you, can we make 4 alloys? Help me solve this. Can we make 4 alloys? How would you calculate? This is for making one alloy. How many do we need for making 4 alloys? Can you calculate quickly? If this is for making one alloy, what is for each of them for making 4 alloys? For first stock, 4, 4 into 1. For second metal, again 4. For third metal, 12. Okay. Now, this is what we already have. So help me calculate how many extra do we need? How many extra first metal do we need? We want 4. There are 10. Do we need something extra? 0. Second case. We want 4. We have 2. How many extra do we need? 2. We want 12. We have 1. So we need 11. Now let's go to cost. Now to buy this extra, how much cost do we need for first metal? 0. For second metal, 2 into 2, 4. For third metal, 11. Total, 15. So, can we make 4 alloys with this budget? Not possible. Does this calculation make sense to everyone? Okay. So, in a way, what we would do, we would try to make first one alloy, second alloy, third alloy, fourth alloy, so on and so forth. The first time we get no. For example, we get that we cannot make 4, but we were getting that we can make 3. So 3 is our answer, right? Does this make sense? Okay, so let's try to write this down quickly. So let's say the number of alloys that we are trying to make is right now 1. Okay. Now let me make an infinite loop for now. So what I'll do, if I want to make 1 alloy, first I would need to, if I want to make these many alloys, first I would need to, for each metal, multiply it with the number of alloys. So for each metal, let's go for each metal. J equal to 0, J less than composition dot size, J plus plus. So basically going on each metal. So now we are at 1 metal, first metal. Let's calculate how much extra budget do we need, right? So थोड़ा सा help करो. We want to make these many alloys, right? We are at a current metal. First, let me calculate total metal needed. Can you help me? How much will it be? So, composition of J will give me 1 metal's quantity, right? So, composition of J gives me for making 1 alloy, how much metal do we need? And we want to make these many. So, into number of alloys that we want to make. Does this make sense? This formula? Multiply? No? Okay. Do you see this that we had calculated? What is happening? I wanted to check if we can make 4 alloys. Right now, I want to check if I can make these many alloys. Does that make sense? Okay. For that, what did I do? For each metal, I first multiplied by number of alloys that I want to make. Right? So for each metal, first I'm multiplying composition of J. Composition of J, what is that? This. That how many metal do we need for 1 alloy into the number of alloys that you want to make. Does this make sense? Okay, this is total metal needed. Now, we already have some in stock. So let's calculate extra that we needed. What is extra needed? Total which is needed minus what we already have in stock. Does this make sense? Right? Total metal that was needed, so that was 4. For example, in this case, 4 minus 2 extra 2 that we got, right? So exactly this step. But what if it becomes negative? Then it would need to be taken as 0. So I'll say max of 0 comma this. Does this make sense? Why we took max with 0 and what is this formula? Right? So we calculated extra needed. Now what is the extra cost that we need? The extra metal that we needed into cost of J. So for example, 2 was here into cost, that gives 4. And we want to total it up for all the metals and compare it with our budget. So let's do that. So let's say required budget equal to initially 0. We'll add the current metals cost to the required budget plus equal to extra cost. If our required budget is more than the budget that we had, that means, can we make these many alloys? No. So we would return 1 minus, that we can make 1 less, right? So I'll say alloys minus 1. Otherwise, if we can simply try to find if we can make 1 more. So I'll make alloys plus plus. Does this loop make sense? So as soon as we find the first count where our budget exceeds, that means that we cannot make. Less than that we can make. So I'd return minus 1. Okay. If we can make this much, Yes. So first we tried making one, right? So let's say budget did not exceed. For example, in this case, when we try to make one, what will happen? 1, 1, 3. When we subtract 0, 0, 2. When we multiply 0, 0, 2, and total budget is 2. So when we try to make one alloy, we got 2, which is less than 12. So we are within the budget. Does this make sense? So when we are within the budget, that the budget did not exceed, that means we can try making one more. So alloys plus plus will do alloys become 2, and we try it once more. Does this make sense? With 2, trying to make 2 of them. Then if 2 also succeeds, we'll make another plus plus, try to make 3. If 3 succeeds, plus plus, try to make 4. 4 will fail. So 4 will fail, and I'll get 3 as the answer. Does this make sense how the loop is working? We are trying to make 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Right? Everyone, does this make sense? Can I get a yes? Quick yes. Brute force. Okay. Right. Help me out with the time complexity of this brute force. What do you think? First, we are going over every machine, calling this function. This try to make 1, 2, 3, 4 alloys. Okay. Is it k into n? Think about it. K into n is clear. But there is another loop. This runs so many times. Yes or no? Composition.size is n, right? Composition.size is in fact number of metals. So k is fine, into n is fine, but there is another loop. So we are trying to make one alloy, then two alloy, then three alloy. Actual number of alloys, right? So if we think about it, it's k into n into number of alloys. Okay. Let's look at once quickly. What would be the worst case when we would have, in a way, maximum alloys? So let's look at the constraints. What will happen? So let's say we only have one kind of metal, and we can make one alloy using 1 unit of that metal, right? एक यूनिट से एक अलॉय बन जाता है. स्टॉक में ऑलरेडी 10⁸ है, तो 10⁸ तो ऑलरेडी यूज हो गए. Plus we have a budget of 10⁸, so we can buy 10⁸ more. So in worst case, this can go up to 10⁸. ये समझ में आ रहा है क्या? Worst case number of alloys का क्या होगा? What will be the worst case of where we can make maximum number of alloys? Maximum number of alloys बनाने के लिए what would happen? Let's say we just have one metal. With 1 unit of that metal, we can make the alloy, right? तो एक बनाने के लिए एक ही unit लग रहा है. Okay. Now, if in 1 unit we are making just one, if with 1 unit we can make one, let's say already we have 10⁸ in stock, plus we have 10⁸ budget. So we can buy 10⁸ more if cost is also 1. So in total, we can in a way make 2 into 10⁸. Does that make sense? This case where we can make 10⁸ alloys. So that is why what will happen, this complexity would increase a lot, like k into n. If we think about it, k into n is already 10⁴. So 10⁴ into 10⁸, that will be a lot. Does this make sense? Why this will TLE our code? Yes or no? That number of alloys can be very high. Okay, everyone with me? Okay. Others with me? Can I get a yes? Yeah, no? Okay. So let's see how to improve. What do you think? How can we improve? We can do our binary search on answer. Very good. ठीक है. तो इसके बाद जो टेक्निक है वो बहुत क्लियरली दिख जाती है मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स, राइट? What you have to see is there a monotonic search space? How many of you have studied binary search on answer from the dashboard? Can I get yes or no? कितने लोगों ने यहाँ पढ़ लिया already? Okay. Oh, great. A lot of you have studied. Anyone who has not, can I get a no also? Okay. No worries, no worries. I'll explain it from scratch, right? So whenever see this kind of thing happens, कि यार uh, uh, like for one we are getting answer, मतलब एक बनाना है, एक अलॉय बनाना है, तो आंसर इज यस, वी कैन मेक इट. टू बनाना है तो भी यस, थ्री बनाना है तो भी यस. देन देयर कम्स अ पॉइंट, लेट्स से 5 6, उसके बाद से इट्स ऑलवेज नो. सो इट्स लाइक yes 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 yes, then it goes to no, and it stays no's throughout. Does that make sense? The idea of how it looks like. तो ऐसी चीज को बोलते हैं 0 1 मोनोटोनिक फंक्शंस. 0 1 मोनोटोनिक फंक्शन मतलब पहले काफी टाइम तक वो 0 रहा, फिर सडनली 1 हो गया और उसके बाद हमेशा 1 रहा, या उल्टा 1 रहा, सडनली 0 हुआ, फिर इट ऑलवेज रिमेन 0. So if either of these two cases occur, then we can do binary search on answer. वो कैसे मैं बताता हूँ, बट आइडिया समझ में आ रहेगा किन केसेस में ये वाली अप्रोच लग जाती है. When we get is this possible, true 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 true, then at some point 5 6 7 whatever number it becomes false, and then it stays false for further numbers. Or the opposite, it is false 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 false, it becomes true at one point and then stays true throughout. ठीक है, तो एक इन्फ्लेक्शन पॉइंट है जहां पे वो ट्रू से फॉल्स या फॉल्स से ट्रू हो रहा है. एंड दोनों साइड में, एक तरफ ऑल ऑफ इट इज जीरो, एक तरफ ऑल ऑफ इट इज फॉल्स, अदर ऑल ऑफ इट इज ट्रू. एक एग्जांपल अगर मिल जाए मुझे, 0 1 मोनोटोनिक फंक्शन मिल जाएगा क्या? नहीं, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. हाँ, तो वो वीडियो में काफी अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन्ड है. सो इफ यू हैव नॉट वॉच्ड इट, just watch it once and then this will be very clear, right? So for example here also, if we see, if we look at the way it is happening, first we are trying to see can we make one alloy. Let's say the answer is true, we can make it. Then we ask can we make two, answer is true. Can we make three, answer is true. Then when we ask can we make four, it becomes false. And if you see, अगर 4 के लिए false है, तो I cannot make 5 6 7 or more alloys also. Yes or no? Can I say कि इन सब के लिए भी हमेशा false आएगा? Do you agree with this? अगर 4 alloy नहीं बन रहे हैं, तो 4 से ज्यादा तो नहीं बन सकते. Yes or no? Like very very simple to see this, everyone. So this proves our monotonicity कि once we are saying कि इतने बन जाएंगे, इतने बन जाएंगे, इतने बन जाएंगे, as soon as first time we see that इतने नहीं बनेंगे, उससे ज्यादा कभी नहीं बनेंगे. Similarly, if we are able to make 3, so 3 से less always we'll be able to make. Yes or no? That there is a clear thing that it will remain true 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 true, then one point it becomes false and stays false. Yes or no? So whenever this kind of thing happens, it's kind of like a sorted array. 1 1 1 1 1 drops to 0, then 0 0 0 0 0, right? So we can apply binary search if we land in a false area while doing binary search. If we land, let's say, at 8 alloys बना सकते हैं क्या? Answer is false. So if we cannot make 8, we can reduce our R, that is the highest point, to 7. यार 1 से 7 में बनेंगे, we cannot make 8 or more. Does this make sense? जैसे बाइनरी सर्च वर्क करता है कि मिड निकाला, अब या तो लेफ्ट में आंसर होगा या राइट में होगा. सेम हियर, we look at any mid, if that much we cannot make, that means we can only make something less, so we have to search on the left. If we land at 2, we can make 2, that means we can try to make more. Does this make sense? Yes or no? Everyone? Okay. So this linear search on number of alloys will simply be replaced by binary search, right? So I'll quickly walk over the code also for it. So if you see, This remains same. We are going over each of the machines and counting this function count alloys, right? This is very same from this, that going over each of them, solving for each machine, taking the answer and maximum, right? Everyone agrees this is same? Can I get a quick yes? Okay. Now, for one particular machine, we have the composition, stock, cost, budget, the four things that we had here also. Composition, stock, cost, budget. But this time, we are not going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like we were doing here, one by one. But we'll directly use binary search on the total answer. So what I've said, minimum alloys we can make, let's say, is 0. Maximum we can make is, let's say, a huge number, 2 into 10 to the power 9. Okay. So a minimum alloys we can make, maximum we can make. Every time while doing binary search, what I'm doing, finding a mid, can I make this much? So I'm checking, can I make mid equal to mid? Similarly, I'm checking, can I make equal to mid minus 1? Okay, why am I saying this? Answer ke liye. So if I cannot make mid, but I can make mid minus 1, that means my answer is mid minus 1. ये समझ में आ रहा है क्या? अगर 4 बन नहीं पा रहा है, 3 बन पा रहा है, so that means 3 is the answer. So that is what I've done here. If we cannot make mid, इसका आंसर false आता है. But we can make mid minus 1. है ना? Mid नहीं बन रहा है, but mid minus 1 बन रहा है. So answer is mid minus 1. Otherwise, if we can make mid and mid minus 1, that means बन पा रहा है, इस तरफ हूं, तो I need to shift my L. So you'll see I've shifted my L, otherwise I've shifted my R. ये बाइनरी समझ में आ रहा है क्या? Random mid we landed. We are checking, can I make this much alloys? I am also checking one less. Can I make mid minus 1 alloy? Right? वो देखते हैं, ये check function देखते हैं, how it is returning true or false. वो तो simple है ना? It will be very similar to this that we have written. कि required budget निकाल लो और check कर लो कि वो budget से ज्यादा है कि नहीं. Like this exact thing can be copied there, right? Do you agree? चेक करना तो आसान है, राइट? कि इतने बन पाएंगे कि नहीं बन पाएंगे. दैट वी हैव ऑलरेडी सीन हाउ टू चेक इफ वी कैन मेक सम एक्स अमाउंट ऑफ अलॉयज और नॉट. द ओनली चेंज इज दैट दिस loop was going 1 2 3 4 by doing plus 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 plus. This entire loop has been replaced now with a binary search like this. Does this make sense? कि change क्या है? Check function will have nothing but this part only. Okay, what is the doubt? Mid C. हाँ, एक बार मैं और रिपीट कर देता हूँ. So mid कैसे कैलकुलेट होता है? L plus R by 2, or to avoid overflow, what I have done, I have written L plus R minus L by 2, right? So we calculated mid. This makes sense? Okay. Next step, I have called a function to check if this many alloys we can make. So it returns true or false. Then can we make this much? Again, true or false. So if we can make alloys equal to mid minus 1, but we cannot make the alloys equal to mid, इसका मतलब क्या है? 4 नहीं बन रहा है, मिड नहीं बन रहा है, पर मिड minus 1 बन रहा है, तो मतलब मिड minus 1 आंसर है. Does this step make sense? If mid says false, mid minus 1 says true, so return mid minus 1. Otherwise, we have moved our binary search depending upon the case. Does this make sense? How this binary search is working? Let's quickly look at our check function also. So what I've done, again, gone over each of the metals. This into how many alloys we wanted to make, multiplication step. Composition of J into number of alloys we wanted to make. Composition of I into number of alloys we want to make. Minus stock I, this step, max with 0. So again, max with 0 into cost, and that I have added in this. If ever the required cost increases the budget, it is false. If we can accommodate everything, we return true. So same idea, just written in a separate, like slightly different fashion. समझ में आ रहा है क्या? Check function कैसे work कर रहा है? So it is simply checking if we can make this much alloys or not. Everyone clear with this? The idea of binary search on answer and how it optimizes our normal linear search approach. Sab log? Yes, no? Okay. So what will happen? Tough question. Yeah, tough question. No doubt about that. It's the third question, yeah. So it would be tough. So the complexity change would be k into n remains the same. But now instead of doing linear search 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm doing binary search. So log of 2 into 10 to the power 9, the maximum that I have taken. Which will be very, like, log is generally very, very small. So this will fit into the time complexity. Does this question make sense? The third question.